Hello and welcome to the Cup TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast movie with the real and the tea in reality. You can always come here first to quench your thirst. I'm Brook, and I am passionate about pop culture, and I'm really excited because Challenge All Stars 5! Yay! With a good casting theme, yay! And with a good cast, for the most part, yay! I'm not drinking anything, but if I were drinking something, it would most certainly be in my cup mug. Cup mug. Ooh, panel full of cup mugs. 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 Hey, 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 hey.
Oh, okay.
And you and yours can get your cup mug and other cup merch at laundrycreations.etsy.com. The link will be in the description down below Jack even. We do ship domestically here in North America and internationally. So there are no excuses unless, your country's under fire, on fire, underwater, snowed in, etc.
But hey, y'all, it's me, Lana, your resident evil diva, here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. Purr. And I'm just drinking water. That's it. Hydration is important, so drink your water, folks. And I have nothing else to say, which is weird.
And hello, my name is Jack. I am the resident game designer of the panel, and I am here mainly as a missionary for the Church of Devon. We have to have one per podcast now, so hello. I'm very happy I have essentially signed up for this volunteer work because it is really, really important to me.
Period.
For the record, all three people currently on this podcast are members of the Church of Devon. Thank you very much. God bless and go in peace. So, Challenge All Stars 5 episode 1 has dropped. It has officially aired. We got all 26 of our cast members with their rivals all on the screen. Some getting along better than others.
So much better.
Well, let's talk about it. So, Jack, first off, before we get into the actual episode, you weren't here for the cast assessment. When you saw the cast, what was your initial were there, besides Devon, we're all on the same page with Devon. Who were some of the people you were really excited to see? Because I am kind of curious.
I mean, the first person I was really excited to see was honestly both Frank and Sam. Both of them. I really enjoyed Battle of the Seasons when I watched it. I did think Frank was a lot towards Sam. So I was like, okay, great. Maybe if they've matured, Frank won't be such a dick. And I mean, it's just good to see Sam again after such a long time. It also never hurts to see Amber because Amber has just gone on an incredible run with the challenge. So it's great to see her back. And then Corey is always someone who's in a weird spot where Corey's probably the closest connection between fans and the actual challenge. So it's always interesting to see him get another shot at the game, even if he's not great at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have I really do like a lot of those people you mentioned. Not a huge fan of Corey, as you may or may not know. But
Oh, I know.
When the premiere started and we're getting all these like intros of people, I really hadn't thought about how much has Frank's life changed since the last time he was on the show. Because I mean, I don't even think he was out the last time he was on the show. I could be wrong about that. He might have been out, but I don't think if he was he on a Battle of the Seasons? I'm not sure.
Could not tell you.
Yeah. But hearing him talk about how much his life has settled down and he's like gotten through his ego issues and he's married to his husband. Also, for the record, 60% of this cast is queer. That's fantastic numbers. Like maybe the highest percentage of gay people I have ever seen on a reality show. Thank you. Thank you so much. Besides like Queer Eye, of course. So yeah. But everybody arrives at the location, the filming in the arena. Filming in Vietnam this season. Nice to see that. I like the aesthetic already. I'm here for that. And TJ rolls in like a lowrider, lowrider motorcycle with the big like angled up bars. They keep on trying to make TJ a little bit cooler. Just let him be TJ. He's fine. He's doing great. Let him do his thing. But we got the cast on the little stoop thing at the arena where they're probably going to be watching stuff. And then they find out that it's rivals. No one's happy. No one.
Politely, like they had to have somewhat known. There is no reason for Turbo to be there. There is no reason for Frank or Sam to be there unless they are specifically going for rivals. Like, it doesn't make them specifically getting a call like this, and all of them should have probably set off a red flag or two. But
I mean, Turbo, yes, I will agree with that. And honestly, the other person that would have rang some alarm bells for me would have been Corey, just because he's so new to the franchise. And Fessy and Amber, really. As much as I love Amber, like, realistically, when you think Challenge All-Stars, right, it's historically people that have been on the show for a bit, or, we're like some of the OGs of the show. If I see Fessy and Amber rolling up, I'm thinking, ooh, okay, either no one wanted to do this season or they're here for a very specific reason. And, I, like we mentioned on the cast assessment, I love the Rivals theme personally. So I'm excited to see it back because, it's just perfect for drama. Lana, how are you feeling about this? Like, seeing the reactions? I'm assuming you were excited.
I knew I was excited I wanted to see the reactions. I was excited to see how they would react to the fact that this was Rivals now. And if they knew or if they didn't know, that's beyond my, my scope of knowledge. But I love seeing how they just went from, yay, we're here for All-Stars, yeah. All-Stars Rivals, son of a... Like, you could tell the people who really didn't want to do Rivals, who really did not. It's like, the beef we have, the rivalry we have is so real. Like, it was people who looked like they were contemplating walking out. Like, the second he said Rivals, it was some people who were just like, no, I don't want any part of this. Like, because the rivalry is so fresh and so real and to them. So it's kind of like, and me personally, this is for Lana. If I had the beef that one specific person had with their rival, Beth, Janae, if that was my rival, baby, I'm done.
I'm gone.
I'm leaving the show on the spot.
150K is not worth.
No. Especially, realistically, Janae beats Beth in a final anyway. But I don't want to have to lug Beth up a hill for a chance to get 300K if I'm allowed to split the pot.
Right.
See, as someone who enjoys Janae and Beth for two very different reasons, right? Because I find Janae to be one of the biggest heroes we've ever had on the challenge. And then Beth is just a bitch, and I respect that.
I just can't. She would be...
I would never.
I could never. I would never. There is no way. There's not amount of money you could have paid me enough to stick around and try to work this out with her. I forgive, but baby, I don't forget. And what she tried to do to Janae, baby, no, absolutely not. There is no coming back from that. There is no coming back. So I would have left. They are better than me. They are better than me.
Well, you have to know that some of these people, when they said it was Rivals, like, okay, I know who my partner is, right? And and I think some of them didn't. I think Ashley and Anissa were like genuinely like, oh, Okay. Like they don't like each other, but they've never really been like super at each other's throats. Even when the Twitter beef happened, like I could count on one hand the amount of people in Lisa's
forgot
Twitter
about
beef
that.
in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it was definitely people who were like, okay, that's my rival. We'll make it work. And then it was some people who was like,
oh, no.
This is going to take some soul searching. Give me a minute. Let me process this.
Well,
nope.
We get Steve as the first person that gets called down, and then they call down Adam. Steve goes for like a handshake, like a fist bump. Adam just completely walks right by him. I didn't realize he was that hurt by that from what had happened on All Stars 4, because, I mean, granted, he has every right to be hurt by it. That's his homie. They've known each other for like 15, 20 years. But, sometimes you got to deal with the consequences of your actions, and I hope that the two of them can have a conversation. And like, I mean, granted, they managed to work well together in the challenge later, but there could be some communication problems for Adam and Steve.
I think they'll be
fine. Got through it with a straight
face.
You
got it.
You say they'll be fine, but also they have actively not talked about the situation in 1.5 years.
All right.
So, like, realistically, I could see them having massive issues going forward. Honestly, like, they're physically strong and they can do well, but in a challenge where they have to communicate in the slightest, more than like, don't drop something. If they have any disagreements on strategy or gameplay, I could see it boiling over real quick.
Well, the other team I really wanted to talk about in all of this was Devin and Leroy. Squashed. Immediately squashed. And that shows me a lot about Devin, right? Because I've made no bones about it. I'm not a huge fan of Devin Walker. He's on everything. I'm kind of bored of him. But him being able to say, okay, Leroy screwed me over. He's my partner. We're winning. I respect him for that. And also, I love Leroy. So...
I mean, I never doubted that Leroy and Devin will be okay. Because, number one, they both want to win this game. They both have made it to several finals. Devin won, Leroy has not. They want to win this game. And priorities have changed for the both of them. Like, Leroy is a father of 2 with a wife or girlfriend, whatever. Him and Cam are. They're married and not fiance, whatever. But he has 2 children and he has a family to take care of. Devin he's getting in relationships, like full-blown relationships. He's maturing. They ain't got time for these little stupid little beefs. That this is rivals. They played enough challenges in this franchise to know, if I've got to get this done with you, then we just got to get it done together. And they were like, the second they did, they were like, oh, okay, it is what it is. Let's get this money. That's literally what they did. They did not, it was no hesitation on their part. And I love that for them. That would be me if it was something like the beef that they had. That's me if it's a beef that I can handle. Like, we had an argument. I didn't like you. You didn't like me. Okay. Try to ruin my life and my home. There's no coming back from that.
Did I expect Beth and John A to immediately squash it?
No.
No.
Especially squash it, and should they? Absolutely not.
Especially as Beth does not take accountability.
Right. Exactly, Jack. Exactly. No accountability is taken from Beth. She's like, sometimes my mouth just gets me in trouble. I'm like, I will.
There's a difference between getting you in trouble, like, oh, I say a couple dumb things about someone's appearance. You know what? That's pretty close to the line, but you know what? At a certain point, you can go through with it. Home wrecking? Home wrecking to the point of needing counseling, couples therapy?
2-piece. I will 2-piece you in your said mouth. do stuff like that. Like,
No.
no.
Some of the other teams we get a little bit of a spotlight on. We get a little bit of time with Melissa and Nicole. This is the single most palatable I have ever found Nicole to be on the challenge.
I have a horrible fear that they have shown her girlfriend to specifically allow Melissa and Nicole to cheat later on in the season. I would bet money.
Oh, it's happening.
They're definitely gonna. And granted to Melissa, as far as I'm aware, she is a single mom. So
she is.
Melissa would just be the side piece.
It will be.
But would not be the first time Nicole has cheated on the challenge.
No.
So
wouldn't be the first time. Oh my god.
But like they're already like Melissa grabbed a bottom bunk and apparently Nicole wanted a bottom bunk, but it wasn't an argument. It was like they were flirting. Let's be real. They were flirting.
Absolutely.
We also got to mention Katie doesn't have a partner at the beginning. Katie's just waiting by herself, but then it's like Katie's like, yeah, I pissed off a few people.
It could be anybody.
It could be a lot of people. And again, this is why I love Katie. Thank you for casting Katie. And then the other group I want to talk about, Nani and Turbo. Again, I get Nani and her perspective on all of this, but Turbo's just being Turbo about it, and I'm here for it.
Turbo just does not care.
Nope.
Turbo never cares.
Turbo came with this intention of destroying Nani. His whole goal and mission of why he accepted this to be on the show is to get rid of Nani early. And now he can't. And so now he has, he can if he don't care about his status. But if he wants to go home early, sure, they could do it. But now he has to process, she's my partner. Okay, I want to win, but if I win, she wins. If I lose, she loses. So he's being very Turbo about all of this. He is sitting, like everybody runs to the house and they running in the house. And they trying to go find beds. Turbo's like,
there's a nice little hammock outside. I'm gonna
sit out here.
I'm gonna go eat blueberries.
This is great.
I'll figure it out later. Now I can just got
a whole crate of blueberries and just.
I'm just gonna sit here, and I'm gonna sit here, and I'm gonna swing. And Nani is losing her mind. Nani's losing it. She's like, "Where is he? I don't know. Is any of these bunks open? We don't have a room. I don't know what's happening. Where is Turbo?" Everyone's like, "Where's Turbo?" I don't know what Turbo is. She's losing it. So then she goes and finds Turbo. And he's just like, I'm happy sitting out here. I mean, it's cold in there. I don't want to be cold. So
you fucking Americans turn the AC way too high, but it's also way too hot outside. Like, choose a fucking struggle.
He's just like, I'm perfectly fine out here. Okay. Here's my thing with Turbo. I like Turbo. I think Turbo, just doing Turbo is great. I think he's such an interesting character. He's so unpredictable sometimes. He's so detrimental to his own placements in games a lot of the times. He's cool, he's chill until he's not. And when he's not, he's just crazy bad Hulk, like smash everything and destroy everything in his path, including himself. And so I kind of love it. So when he was just sitting there and eating the blueberries and walking back and forth, and Nani's like, we need to talk. And Turbo's like, what do we want to talk about? What is it that you want to talk about? I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, she was like, Turbo, we used to be really good together. Yeah, we were. And then you're still mad that I voted you out. Yeah, I am. I'm just like, I love Turbo to death. I love it. Oh,
Turbo is one of those people that historically on the challenge I have really I kind of liked. It's just he's so hit or miss for me, but so far, if this is the energy we get the entire season, this is a good Turbo season for me.
Hit. Absolutely a hit.
But again, a lot of these rivals pairs seem like they're kind of gelling and getting along.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have John A. and Beth.
Yeah.
And on top of that, right, we already know that there's issues there, but Beth talks to Shane and is like, looks like she said she worked everything out with her husband. It seems like they're okay now. And I'm like, yeah, Beth, I wonder if there was anything for her to work out in the first place.
Until you made it that way. Because maybe he was fine and maybe they were good until you said she was cheating on him on national television. I don't know.
It's quite literally, Beth even says it in confessional. It's like, look, I just get heated sometimes. But
she is so dangerous. She is so dangerous.
It's like, oh wow, yeah, I just have problems with my mouth and I say too many things sometimes. That is not the issue. The issue is that when you open your mouth, what comes out is significantly worse than anything that the situation is about, to the point that it becomes weirdly personal and isn't the game anymore.
Right. Janae was like, I don't care that if you coming at me for game purposes, come at me for game purposes. Say I'm cheating. Say I'm a bad player. Say I'm the weakest link. Do all those things. Say those things about me in the game. But when you come for my home life, what? Where's that in the game?
And one of the biggest arguers in the entire history of the show, Shane, says Beth doesn't know what's off limits. That tells me all I need to know.
Yep.
Right? When you see Shane, like, and again, Shane and Devon specifically have went there with each other multiple times, right? And also the handshake was odd, but I'm here for it. But Shane and Devon have went there multiple times with each other. Shane has called Devon pathetic. Devon has
called him Geppetto.
Yeah, called him Geppetto. But they both seem to know where the line is with each other, where even if they don't necessarily get along and like each other, they don't cross it.
Nope.
Beth, on the other hand, she belongs to like the Amanda Pauly area, where when they get into arguments, they kind of just say things.
It's wild.
But yeah, so we have everybody gets to the first challenge. We head out there. We find out that the top 4 teams are going to be getting stars, returning from All Stars 4. This is a good twist. I like this twist. This is a good twist.
Yeah, it isn't bad.
So in case you haven't watched All Stars 4, the way the stars twist work is pretty simple. So to be eligible to compete in the final, you have to have a star. It's very similar to the Red Skull in that way, or whatever season you watched with the skulls and all that stuff. So the top 4 teams in this challenge will start with stars, and then their eliminations will happen, and whoever wins the elimination, if they have a star, has to steal someone else's star and give it to somebody else. And if they don't have a star, they steal a star for themselves. And you can never be eliminated and a star leave the game with you. So if you beat somebody with a star, you just take their star. So glad to see the stars back. I think it really worked on All Stars 4. So I think this is a solid twist. But we finally get Katie's partner after minimal buildup, and it's Veronica. We already knew that, but it's Veronica. Katie and Veronica, not happy. Neither of them were happy. Again, pretty much like everyone else. But again, Veronica's a solid player, socially at least, and Katie's one of the biggest physical threats still in this game, in my opinion, out of the older school players. So it was nice to see their reactions. But we go to our first challenge, and it is the Frenemies Challenge. Don't know why they called it that, because like Jack said before we started recording, has nothing to do with anything in this challenge.
Yeah, you have a mud like
yeah. So they have it's a 3-part challenge. You have to complete each section before you can move on to the next. So the first section is this big section with a lot of mud, and they have to scrape the mud off themselves into this bucket. Once they get it to a line, they can move on. It's very similar to that one Survivor Immunity Challenge. If you don't know, you know. Then they have an ice transfer where they have these big, long spoon-shaped things, and they have to carry these big cubes of ice to these big beakers. When a ball gets over a line, a floating ball, they can move on to the final section, which is called the Ballance Gurney, which then responds from Anissa with not Ballance Gurney, which I feel you, Anissa. It's a terrible pun, but I'm here for it. So they have to carry a gurney, and on each corner there's a ball. So they have to balance the gurney to keep the balls from rolling out of their little designated spots. It's terrible. It's so bad.
It's a horrible pun.
Yeah. Along the way, they have to stop, grab 3 different sandbags at 3 different spots until they get to this finish line. First 4 teams to the finish line get a star, and then it starts. This was kind of lame to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It was so lame. It was so lame.
They literally made the gurney section, which I felt like had potential to be really difficult. Like these long, straight lines. I'm like, couldn't even make it like zigzag a little bit? Or like nothing? No.
I think they heavily overestimated the actual difficulty of the gurneys. Because the other 2 parts, mud collection and the ice paddles, both actually worked really nicely. Like those parts worked. It was just the ending that completely fell flat of like, yeah, no, okay, we're done here.
None of the teams that made it to the gurney dropped a ball on the gurney.
No, nobody.
We never even had an explanation as what happens if you drop a ball. Because it never mattered.
You have to just pick up the ball and put it back on and then go again. Like, it doesn't really affect.
Do you have to go back to the start or where you were? Or do you just pick it up and keep on moving? Like, what? Like,
There was a lot of weirdness with that section. I thought the mud section worked pretty well. The thing that confused me about the ice paddles was it wasn't really clear if the ball had to be at the line, over the line, or if the water had to be at the line. Because we saw with Adam and Steve when they finished, the ball was like over the line, but the water hadn't reached the line, but the bottom of the ball wasn't over the line. It was like, and if it was just the ball had to hit the line, well, they were already at the line before they put their last piece of ice in. Like, rules, please.
please.
My honest thought with that is, I mean, they probably knew how many of the giant ice cubes they had would realistically get the ball up. So if they called for a check and they had that many ice cubes in, they probably just said it was fine because maybe there was a little bit of melting as it went on. Maybe it wasn't fully in the mold right. Like, ice is weird. So, you do what you can, I guess.
So a couple of interesting developments happened in this challenge. Sam is struggling a lot, and I will give this to Frank. Frank is being very nice and very patient. I do not know if I would have that in me to be that patient, to be honest with you, but he's like telling Sam, take a breath, catch your breath. We'll go when you're ready to go. Sam's kind of falling apart a little bit here, and I feel bad for her because I do enjoy Sam. I don't love Sam, but Sam's like fine. And then on the other end, the other team struggling is, of course, Beth and John A. Is there any surprises? No. Beth is in the confessional. She's like, I think John A and I are working really well together. We're really gelling as teammates. And John A's like, we're not working together at all. We're terrible. We're in dead last right now.
Right.
Beth being delusional, I love to see it. We love a delusional queen. But they're stuck on the mud bath for most of the challenge. The ice paddles seem to be the hardest part. We see people get like really close to the end and then drop the ice. Nobody's really doing super well with them. The only team who gets through it pretty quickly is, of course, Adam and Steve, who blow everyone out of the water. They finish in first place. Again, you look at the composition of these teams. Are we surprised?
Nope.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. The only other team who I would put in that same caliber with them, Leroy and Devin, finished second. And they're doing pretty well here too. They kind of struggle a little bit on the ice, but again, the ice was clearly the hardest part of this challenge. Third place, we haven't actually talked about them yet. We're Ashley K and Dario. Ashley, girl, please don't. Just don't do it. I know what you're going to do. Just please don't.
I don't think she is. I think she's learned, and he seems still like in the same mindset that Dario seemed to have been in. So I don't think she's going to do it. If she does do it, girl, stand up. Get off your knees. Stand up. But I'm going to have faith in Ashley and say she is a smart woman. She has a child. She's thinking about other things other than Dario.
And like, girl, Dario, that's who you're into.
Girl.
Like, she's pretty, sure. But like, the personality of like a tent steak.
Right.
And like, even then, the tin steak is like at least a little bit sharp on the end. I don't even know if he's got that going for him.
Jesus Christ. Brook.
Brook, come on.
Brook, I am not looking at you on purpose right now.
It was a good goddamn it was a good goddamn joke, but fuck you for that.
Well, sure, but besides the point, Ashley and Dario finished right behind Leroy and Devin, and there is a pretty big race between Big T and Corey and Nani and Turbo to get that last star. And watching this episode, it looked like Big T and Corey were ahead by like this much, just by the way they were editing it. But I know I can never have nice things with the challenge. I can get never have nice things with the challenge. And of course, Nani and Turbo end up getting the final star here. Now again, do the starting stars matter that much? Not really.
Not really.
But I mean, it helps. It certainly gives you the idea of like, well, I have one, and now I don't have to struggle and try to politic for one for the next little bit. But I'm probably not going to keep it.
Right.
Oh yeah, no. You're not going to keep it. It's going to get stolen real quick. So
I'm going to pull up the All-Stars 4 thing real quick and see if anybody that started with a star had it at the end, because I'm genuinely curious.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, none of the people that had a star to begin with had the same star at the end, except for Cara Maria, and she lost hers for an episode to Cam. So, yeah, again, it's nice to have one, but at the end of the day, you got to try to keep it, and that's the important thing. So we have our opening stars, and that's pretty much it for this episode.
Yeah, it was a big nothing burger. I thought we was gonna get a whole lot more.
It was a really the only other thing that comes up is people discussing, hey, so every other Rivals season had the better player in the duo allowed to steal the full prize. Is that an option? Like, is that something we can do? And I mean, some teams are very clearly like, no, I'm not going to do that. But some teams, like Nani and Turbo and Beth and Shanae, Yeah, no, I would bet money that it's going to happen if they were to win. And then that's the end of the episode.
Well, and I will say, we've had Rivals a few times, right?
Mhm.
We've had Rivals 2, and then we had Vendettas, which was basically just Rivals with a different coat of paint on it. Out of those 3 seasons, the option to steal has only been offered twice, because it wasn't on Rivals 1. Johnny and Tyler won, and they split the money as they were supposed to. With the situation that happened on Rivals 2 with Johnny and Sarah, and what happened with Hunter and Ashley, excuse me, Hunter and Millionaire Mitchell, I do wonder if they're setting this up for somebody to like throw the final and it not even be a thing that gets asked at the end. Like, I would be down for that. I think it'd be funny. I think it'd be really funny. But out of our teams here, who do we think is gelling the best? And who do we think is gelling the worst? Besides Beth and John A, because that is the free correct answer.
Leroy and Devin are definitely doing it the best. They're definitely doing it the best. And besides Brook, Beth and Janae, I would say Turbo and Nani. But even though they are winning, they won. I think they're strong enough. Well, they could have been second, third. Like, they shouldn't have been fighting for 4th place against Big T and Corey. Like, they shouldn't have been. But I still think they got to get some kinks out. I think they'll be okay. I think Turbo is going to either suck it up and get it together or just self-destruct, and that'll be funny too. But they besides Beth and Shanae, I think they're and Adam and Steve, but even they won, so who knows? Is that really bad communication? I don't know.
Well, Adam even said after they won, he said, "I'm going to prove to Steve that he should have never cut me, because if I was in that final, one of us would have won All Stars 4." And hearing him say that, I was kind of like, if you want to get revenge on your partner, proving him wrong is a nice way to do that. I find that to be like a valid perspective from Adam. Again, Steve is kind of a nothing burger to me, but like, they're both very strong, and I think they are gelling a lot better than I thought they would, even if they're not necessarily getting along. One team that I think is actually gelling a lot better than I expected them to is Shane and Davon.
Yeah.
Not even a single bad word between the two of them yet, which kind of surprises me.
I'm going to tell you why. Davon has found the Lord. Davon has come. She has gone to church. She has gotten some peace and clarity in her life. She is determined to not be that girl that we've seen on other shows. She is like, you know what? Father God, I come to you today as humble as I know how. Please, Lord, help me in this game so I don't strangle one of your children. I don't want to cuss them out this time. I don't want to scream this time. I don't want to be the angry Black woman this time. So, Lord, I am coming to you and asking you for peace and maturity and guidance. And you know what? God hears her prayers. He hears her prayers. Because she, even in that intro, when her and Shane was like, did the little awkward shake, she was like, you could see the peace within Davon. Like, she is not, like, when Davon first popped on the scene, we were like, oh, yep, she one of those bout it. She gonna pop off in a second. This time, she looks so serene and mindful. So peaceful. So I'm like, yep. She
very
is
mindful, very
mindful, very demure, all of that. Like, she is very peaceful in this moment, and you can see it. It is clear, and I love that for her. And I'm like, you know what? I understand it. I recognize it. Look, if you are a Christian, if that's what you believe, if that's not what you believe, then it is what it is. But those who do, we see that peace and that light in her, and I'm like, I see it. She is calm, and I think. Could she pop off this season? Maybe, because nobody's perfect. We all continue. Sometimes it's hard to fight those demons that want to bring us back out to where we used to be. But I think it's going to be such a different Davon. We saw it a little bit in The GOAT. If you watched The GOAT, her season of The GOAT, you saw it a little bit different. She wasn't always going off. It was moments where she wanted to, and she was like, let me bring it back. Mm-hmm. Not today, Satan. You won't get me down today.
But Amanda's not here.
Well, but I think Shane and her will actually work well this season, only because I think she is determined to show that she is not the same Davon that she used to be. Yeah. Even though I don't think nothing was wrong with that Davon. I like that Davon too, but I understand.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think Nani and Turbo are, again, besides Beth and Johnny, which is the free correct answer, Nani and Turbo are struggling at the moment.
Yes.
I can unfortunately see Frank and Sam going the exact same way if Frank doesn't keep his cool, because we've gotten very much inklings of him being like, if this keeps happening, I'm going to be real annoyed. Like, I didn't come here to be tied down. And I unfortunately feel like the minute that happens, Sam is like, and I'm done with this. I'm not dealing with this shit. You can send me home.
Right.
I will say he has done a good job so far.
Yes, he has.
He has done a very good job.
He's doing well.
Very well.
Because even in his confessional, he's like, I'm trying to be respectful. She got gassed.
Right.
And like old Frank would have went off in that confessional about this entire circumstance, but I can see the growth, and again, I hope that Frank is in a better place than he was all those years ago during Battle of the Seasons. The interesting wrinkle to this is that Katie's on this cast as well, because Katie was, I believe, was it Katie or was it Ashley K? Ashley K. Ashley K was on that same team with them on Battle of the Seasons. So we're gonna see. Yeah, she was. So we're gonna see if that comes into play in any respect. I think if it were me, and Devin already said this, Adam and Steve, they gotta go.
Yeah,
they're gonna implode. I can almost feel it. They're gonna have this kind of moment where I feel like if any team is gonna get their star stolen first, it probably is them. And then they're gonna go into an elimination, and due to communication issues or like just someone really having a bad day, they go out early. I can almost feel it being set up.
But then on the other side of that coin, there's the possibility that they keep getting targeted and they keep winning. We've seen it a few times on the challenge. We saw it most recently with Kyland on 39, but on Battle for a New Champion. But we've seen, teams that get targeted early, or players, I guess, depending on the season, that just stay alive. I mean, heck, Jay, when he was on his rookie season, he sent home CT.
Right.
After he had already sent home Asif. And granted, he eventually did lose to Rogan, but those kind of runs happen sometimes. I don't know if we're going to get that from Adam and Steve. I don't know if they're going to even really get targeted by anybody other than Devin, because he's the only one that's really mentioned it yet. But if it were me, they're gone.
They will have to. In my book, I mean, the way they won that first challenge was so dominant. You have to look at them. You have to be like, okay, who are we going to try to get rid of first? And are we still in their stars? Absolutely. But who knows? I do hope the season picks up very soon. I hope the next episode is a lot better than this one, because this was, for a premiere, I was like, could be better, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this was one of those establish it for the people at home who haven't watched the preseason stuff, or haven't been keeping up with the challenge and are seeing, oh, Davon's here, I'm tuning in. Oh, Veronica's here, I'm tuning in. People that we haven't seen him at Frank. That's why I'm tuning in. I hope that's what ends up happening. I hope that the season escalates from here. Almost guaranteed we're going to lose our first team next week.
Oh, yeah.
But Yeah. So let us know down below who's your favorite pairing this season on Challenge All Stars Rivals. Tell us why you love Davon below. Feel free to join the church. We're always accepting new members. All you need is a high five and at least one Davon gif in your bio. So beside the point, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Punch that notification bell because we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. And every subscriber helps. You got to get one to get to 1,000, right? So every other person joining in, we appreciate you guys so much. If you're into drag, Eurovision Song Contest, or wrestling, go ahead and click down below for our links to those channels as well. We're all part of One Big Cup podcast network here, and I'm on all 4 of those channels, as is, and Lana's on 3 of them. So we show up. So make sure you give us subscribe to those channels as well if you're into those content as well. Go ahead and leave a comment down below with anything you want to talk about as well. And don't forget to check out our audio podcast links if you want to listen to us on the go. As a friendly reminder, we have our merch at lanagcreations.com, lanagcreations.etsy.com, with cup mugs, cup t-shirts, cup bottles, cup everything. All that is there. And of course, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be back next week talking about episode 2. You could go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok at The Cup Pod, and all of our individual social links are in the ticker down below that I forgot to put on and Lana did for me. Thank you so much. And I think that's about everything. So thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to have to head out, and cheers.
Cheers.